Hey everyone, Matt here from Herbal House, and in this video we're taking a closer look at the FLEXSTAR 18 watt clone LEDs. So as you can see, these actually come in a pair of two. Do not be fooled when it says 18 watt clone LED. You're in fact getting a pair of 18 watt clone LEDs. Now, just to clarify what you're actually going to use these lights for, so clone LED, it's quite self-explanatory really, it's in the name. You're going to be using this for your clones, your propagation, your cuttings, that kind of thing, because they are relatively low wattage, they're not too harsh, they're not too intense, they distribute the light really well, and the spectrum emitted from these lights is in the 6500K range. So that's your very high blue light that your plant is going to love when it's propagating, germinating, or vegging. Alright, so I'm just going to get right into the unboxing here because it's quite important for people to know how these things are going to arrive, and it's not going to be just like this. When we send it out to you, we are going to be black wrapping these, nice and discreet. No nosy neighbours or curious couriers are going to know what's going on here. So when we send these out to you, nice plain brown packaging with some fragile tape, just the way everyone likes it. But getting right into it, when you do get through the black wrap, you're going to see the FLEXSTAR clone LED 18 watt. As mentioned earlier, that is per light, so there's two of those in there, two 18 watt lights. On the back end here, where is it? There we go. We've got your spectrum, we've got some specifications, little recommendations for the spread. We've got a warranty on the front side here, and of course the other warnings like don't put it in water and all that basic stuff. All right, let's get right into what's in the box. Popping the lid off here, we have your two 18 watt FLEXSTAR LEDs. So as you can see, these are extremely long, 1.17 meters, I believe it is to be exact. So that's a huge length. So for a lot of people, that's going to suit setting these up on racks or even pairing them together in racks. I'm afraid these won't fit in most small propagation tents, but that's not too much of a stress depending on the scale you are working with. So I'll just get these two out here. Just pop one out there, put one out here. Okay, so important thing to note, you will receive, just in here, one power cable. So keep this in mind, you'll be able to power that up to the first LED, and then on the end of either of these LEDs, we actually have daisy chain plugs. So you're just gonna link these two together, and that's how you're gonna run two of these lights off one power cable. But keep that in mind, they don't provide two power cables, so you can't have two in two different locations. They must be daisy chained together if you wanna run both of them. So, beyond the two lights and of course the power cable. Now I will mention these are actually waterproof glands and plugs. This entire light is designed to handle high moisture environments such as propagation and whatnot. And I will also mention they're quite lightweight, being mostly plastic. Nothing wrong with that. They're going to be corrosion resistant and of course nice and lightweight. So let's just pull out the last remaining components. We have a set of zip ties and an end cap for the plug that you will blank off when you've daisy chained these together, or even if you don't, there's a little end cap to seal up that plug. That's quite important, keep it water resistant. Put that to the side, and here we have these clamps. So they don't provide any hanging materials apart from these clamps, and the idea with these clamps is you are going to screw those into a hard surface, wherever that may be, and you're just going to slip the light onto the back side there like so. So two clamps per light. I'll just get out the other ones. One and two. So you can set up two per light. So you've got a really nice fixing point. Now again, that's designed to go on a hard surface. It's really not hard to adapt on some ratchet hangers. So what we're gonna do now, seeing as we've gotten everything out of the box and run you guys through it, we're actually gonna set up a couple of these on a little rig that we've got somewhere around, and we're gonna take some palm measurements just to give you guys an idea of the intensity these lights have to offer. All right, so we've just gotten our frame set up, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set up these lights, or at least attach them to the top of this frame. Now we're gonna get quite crafty here. So we've got the included clips, and they do include these zip ties, which was just with the cable gland blanking cap thing. So we're actually gonna use these zip ties to fix it. Now you could get more creative than we are and attach ratchet hangers and have the adjustability of the light, no problem at all. But in this case, we're just gonna take these, we're gonna zip tie them to our frame. So I'm just gonna come up here, and I'm just gonna hoop it over and fix it like so, just to get that in place. And I'm just gonna do another one here. And then I'm gonna go over to the other side of the frame. So, and another one here. So that gives us 4 attachment points for the two lights. So I'll just take one light here, and I'll just take, easy as that. Cool, that's one light, should get that nice and center. Grab another. Now actually there's something I need to check, and that's make sure that the inlet, you'll see here it says output, matches an input. So we've got output, and then up on the side we've got output. We don't want that because they've got a daisy chain, so I'm just going to flip that around. So now we have input next to output, so it means we can daisy chain them nice and easy. So I'll just flip that one up in there, and if that would just go on, easy as that. All right, so I'm just going to connect the daisy chain plugs over here at this end. So I've got the input and the output, and I'm just going to clip that together, and I'm going to secure the watertight gland like so. All right, so if we come around to the other end here, we get to choose which light we want to power up. So, well, sorry, we don't actually. It says input on one and output on the other, so we don't have a choice here. We're just going to take the input, and we've got our power cable end here. So same sort of dealio. Get those together, secure the watertight gland, ready to go and plug that in. Now, last but not least, do not forget this. We have that little cap that I showed you, and we're just going to secure that on the end of the output, which is not being used. So if you did get a whole bunch of these, easy enough, you can hook them up via the daisy chain, have multiple rows, no problem at all, because they are such low wattage, there's no stress there. In this case, we've just got the 2 lights out of the box. Now for some people, specifications are incredibly important. What they're made of, what sort of efficiency you're getting, especially for those who are chasing the ultimate in performance, or at least the running costs of such lights. So with these, they do list them as, I've got it here, your Samsung diodes. Now they rate these at 2 U-moles per joule, which is an actual realistic figure. So we actually like seeing numbers that make sense and on paper sound about right, especially when you're actually using them in operation. So beyond that, they are focusing the CCT, or color temperature, at 9000K. So 9000K, as mentioned earlier, that's your real cold, crispy white light. Now they have probably blended that together because they do have white light, they do have a couple of blue diodes mixed in along this bar. Camera's probably not going to show that though, but that's the sort of outcome, or at least the CCT, that's being generated from this light. So that's of course your propagation, your veg focused, and even your aquarium lights from what we've seen. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we've got our frame set up, or our rig we like to call it, we've actually got the 2 lights running together, and they're joined in daisy chain formation, so we're running both 18 watt lights together, so just under that 40 watts consumption. Now they do rate these lights for a recommended height of about 8 to 12 inches. We actually have a box here that gets us to about 250 mil below the light, so right within that specification. So we're just going to take some quick measurements to give you guys an idea. Now if I click my little par meter on here, my U-mole meter, we are sitting at about 138 U-moles, so not too bad at all for this sort of coverage you'd expect from the light. So if I move this over this way, see how we're sitting, 127 U-moles, 126, yep, still good. And if I move it all the way over to this end, 109, we are a little bit off center here with these lights, but still above 100 U-moles, so that's perfect for your propagation and your veg. So just keeping in mind, if you do move further out this way, it will drop off at this sort of proximity. So if I bring this out to here, yep, we're down in the 50s, and it'll be the same story when I bring it forward over here. So just keep that in mind, that these of course are a very long light, and that's how you want to set them up. So one last test though before we close this up is I'm actually just going to disconnect one of these lights here and just show you what 18 watts has to offer. So unplug, easy as that, and we are now down on 1 light. So if I just prop this under here, we're sitting at about just high 70s for your U-moles here, right under the light. So just keep that in mind, and if you know, just for the sake of it, if you were to bring these a little bit closer, those numbers start shooting right up. So keep that in mind if you are setting these up, the sort of distances you'd be expecting to use. Of course, not everyone has a U-mole or a par meter to take these measurements, so these are just some ballpark figures from you guys, for you guys to work from, just to keep that in mind, because the more intensity you have, you could expect to stress your plants if they're not ready for it, but generally once they have started to root, they will grow much faster with the higher intensity, providing they're not curling over from too much of it. So when I take this, just put this to the side here, with these particular lights, just keep in mind that you may not set them up like this. You might have each light end on end, so that's just going to give you some ballpark figures for intensity. And of course, we were looking at them before, and these would make excellent aquarium lights, so perfect for you people who are looking to cultivate seaweed or something along those lines. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please get in touch with us here at Herbal House. Thanks for watching.